Hello once again, I am Jim Dukart with T&D How Videos. Today we are in Hazelwood, Missouri, where we will watch Ameren, Missouri install an SNC interrupter pulse closer fault interrupter, which you see here on the ground prior to installation. Our participating utility is Ameren, Missouri. This video is sponsored by SNC Electric Company. And as our crew prepares for the installation, let's listen into part of the on-site job briefing. The briefing covers at least the following subjects: hazards associated with the job, work procedures involved, special precautions, energy source controls, and personal protective equipment requirements. We're dealing with 7200 up there. That's the voltage. We don't have any secondary voltage. Next, our crew signs to signify their participation in the job briefing, and the next task is to check the 6 lines that are connected here to this fault interrupter. You see a crew member using a continuity tester on all 6 of the lines, 3 on each side. And while the fault interrupter comes out of the box essentially ready to install on the pole, this is the communication and control module. We will see them installed a bit later in this video. And now that we are ready on the ground, it's time to go up in the bucket and install rubber insulating line hose and also line blankets. You'll see that they need to cover all 3 phases of the line because the fault interrupter will connect with all 3 phases. And now that the lines are covered, you see the fault interrupter coming into view as well as our crew, and they will position it for placement on the pole. With some hand signals here, he will signify that he's good with the position. Next, they will insert a bolt through a pre-drilled hole in the pole and fasten that down both the top and bottom bracket. And since the fault interrupter comes out of the box ready to install, this makes for a quick installation onto the distribution pole. And the first step with the fault interrupter up on the pole is to ground it using a grounding wire. That's what you see them doing here. Grounding is an essential first step before approaching any of the phases for connection to the fault interrupter. And with grounding in place, we can now start to remove specific line blankets to start the connections between the fault interrupter and the phases here. He will start by bending this wire into shape and then cutting it to length and stripping back some of the insulation to expose the bare wire underneath in order to make this power tap connection. Next, you're going to see them install what is called a piggyback clamp using a hot stick. And Ameren uses this piggyback clamp in order to make sure that the crews are far enough away from the point of connection to avoid any kind of a flash. You see they're below the line, a safe distance below the line, using this hot stick to install this piggyback clamp. And once that piggyback clamp is in place, they can come back up to the line and install the permanent line clamp or power tap here and take the piggyback clamp off. And here we see that same process on the other side of A phase, where they are securing that temporary tap, the piggyback clamp, with a hot stick below the line, and then coming up to install the permanent tap or clamp and take away the temporary. And so here is A phase with both sides of the fault interrupter connected. And now just a couple of shots from the ground here to give you a different perspective on this same connection process. This is on C phase of the 3-phase distribution circuit here. And then here we are on B phase, the middle phase. A couple of things to note about this. One is they've kept the line blankets on C phase here because they don't want any incidental contact from their backs. And the other thing is, notice the safety harnesses they're wearing in these buckets. Safety is, of course, of paramount concern in all of these jobs. And then finally, we see them finish this side of C phase, which is 6 of 6 of these leads and taps that are being connected into the distribution line. And so here's a nice shot from above of all 6 of the phases connected to this fault interrupter. And there's just one more thing to show in this installation. Notice those bays at the bottom of the fault interrupter. that is where the crew will slide into place both the communications and control modules that we saw earlier in the video. And this in turn eliminates the need to wire a traditional control box further down on the pole, thus both speeding installation and eliminating future service calls related to a hardwired traditional control box. And that completes our T&D How video on the installation of an SNC Interrupter Pulse Closer Fault Interrupter. Our participating utility was Ameren, Missouri. This video was sponsored by SNC Electric Company. I am Jim Dukar with T&D How Videos. Thank you as always for watching.